This is the Supergirl of San Francisco. And this is a message about what really happened between Nathan Phillips, the Covington High School boys, the group, the kids, the students, and the Black Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, Black Hebrews as they call themselves. Nathan Phillips is an American hero, and I'll tell you why. Because he's a peacemaker. He may have not served directly in Vietnam, but he was still a Marine. And he's still a native elder, filled with love and magic and knowledge that some of you may yet hope to understand. He knows things from the Spirit. And he was trying to be a peacemaker and mediate between the groups. So he came with his drums and he came with his prayers to try and open people's minds and calm down the hate. That the kids were being yelled at by the Black Israelites, which is listed by the Southern Law Poverty Center as a hate group. And who are the Black Israelites? They are a group of fringe people who hate LGBT and think that they're sinners and think that they should die. They think that they even that day attacked the natives, the indigenous people, because they say that only they know the one path to God. They attacked everyone at the Lincoln Memorial that day, sending out words of hate and slander of all people, and yet calling themselves righteous. They were the true instigators of that day. And Nathan Phillips could see that both of the groups were yelling back and forth of hate at each other. And he did the one thing that all peacemakers like myself do: try to intervene. Try to create peace and unity out of a chaotic mess. And yet there are some of you out there who are Trump supporters, who are conservatives, and you think that somehow this veteran, this Marine, this American, this Indigenous First Nation person is somehow the enemy. He felt threatened by both groups. He felt the threat coming up. I'm all too familiar with that feeling. I did the same thing in Berkeley as the Supergirl of San Francisco. I got in between Patriot Prayer and Antifa and tried to create peace, but instead faced backlash and slander and hate. And I receive hate on a daily basis for being transgender, for being a Christian, for being a native as well, for being a mixed blood, for being different, too different for this world. And yet, I'm aware of what's really going on. I'm paying attention with wisdom. I use my soul and my spirit and logic and science, all of it combined, to find out what's really happening. And the grand master of all of this hatred, the one who started this all and stirred up the pot 2 years ago, sitting in the Oval Office, confusing and manipulating and brainwashing his followers to think that he still has all of the answers, and that CNN always lies, and that only Fox News tells the truth. But let me also blame some people on the left as well. You Democrats, you progressives, you say you're progressive, but you're not paying attention. You're reacting and overreacting to stories and not your... I understand your feeling, the same feelings that I have. because I see all the hate and I don't want it on this earth. It's not supposed to exist. We're supposed to evolve and move forward as a species, but you don't want to. You're angry and you're upset. So you only see half of the story. All of you only see half of the story. I, too, have been guilty of only seeing half of the story. If we're going to stomp out hate, then we have to call out hatred from many sides, all groups. You can't just point fingers at one particular group of people and say that they're the ones that did everything. When in fact on that day, there was so much hatred to go around. And yet Nathan Phillips, stuck in the middle of all of that hate, tears running down his face in many, many interviews, and you can't see his soul? There's something wrong with you if you can't see and feel what's going on. You need to relax. You need to meditate, pray, change your thought about what's really happening. Because your actions and your words are dooming the entire planet and crushing the spirit of America. I know that I speak the truth about the Black Hebrew Israelites. They came to San Francisco with their hatred, with their, you can't get an abortion business, you can't be gay, you can't be transgender, you can't be anything but what we are. And only these 12 tribes are good, and everyone else is bad. But that's not true. That is a lie, and that is confusion and division. That's not magic, that's not light, that's not love. I sat down in front of that group right there on Market and Powell. And what did I do? I meditated. I prayed. I prayed for them. I sang while they shouted obscenities at me and said that I shouldn't exist, saying that I'm doomed to the fires of hell. That's not based on any actual truth. We need to combat that kind of misinformation, that kind of falsehood with actual truth, actual love, actual science, actual evolution. Now I know that a lot of you are just going to ignore this. You're not even going to hear these words. But to those of you that do, make a change. Take a look at yourself and everyone around you and make that change and make it fast and make it hard. My heart is very heavy that you would yet attack a man of peace, Nathan Phillips, and say that he was the villain of the story, when in fact he was a peacemaker, is a peacemaker. And that's all you really need to know. Now, America, will you do what's right and finally start talking to one another? Finally start listening. Because we are no longer united, and unity is the only thing that should matter. That's it. Nothing else. We do not exist if we don't have unity. This planet will destroy itself. We will destroy ourselves without it. Without actual truth. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you are across the world and the USA.